Bonjour classe, bienvenue dans la classe de français 2. Just a quick little video for lesson 10 so we can talk about our new verbs and the partitive article. We begin on page 166 with the verb vouloir. Class, vouloir, a pop-up message here, vouloir means to want. So to want something, we've seen it in the form of the conditional tense, je voudrais, I would like. This is just I want. I want something to eat, I want to go somewhere, I want to do something. To say I want, we say je veux. You want, tu veux. He wants, il veut. And notice the subtle difference. Je veux, tu veux, exactly the same spelling. Il veut, same pronunciation, but spelled a little bit differently. V-E-U-T. Elle veut, on veut. Remember our friend on, another subject pronoun. That means one or someone, people or they. It's a very generalish kind of subject pronoun that can be used in conversation. Il, elle, and on all have the same conjugations. Now let's move over to the plural side. Nous voulons. Recognize the ONS. Vous voulez. And again with the familiar EZ. Ils veulent. E-N-T. Et elles veulent. E-N-T. Now something else I need to point out to you. When we started this conjugation, it was with the V-E-U stem. Class, the stem is the first part of the verb, as opposed to the ending, which is the ending. Je veux, tu veux, il veut, elle veut, on veut. But then when we get over here to nous and vous, that stem changes. It becomes voul, voul, voulons, voulez. But then did you notice that it goes back to the original stem with il and elle? Veulent, veulent. That's because, you guessed it, this verb is a shoe verb. We've talked about shoe verbs before, where if I circle the verbs that have the same stem, I'm circling all the verbs that match each other with that V-E-U stem. Oh, that's a nice one. You get the shape of a shoe or kind of a boot with a chunky heel. Shoe verb. All of these have the same stem. And nous and vous are the laces of the shoe because they tie back to the infinitive. You see this infinitive here? Voul. Nous voulons. Vous voulez. Et voilà. So, our next verb for this chapter is kind of the same thing. This is the verb pouvoir, and it means to be able. It's kind of like when you say, I can do that. Je peux. I can. I am able. Tu peux. You can. You are able. Il peut. He can. Elle peut. She can. On peut. Do you see that familiar pattern? It's basically the same as the last one. Je peux, tu peux, il peut, elle peut, on peut. And guess what happens when we get over here to nous and vous? Nous pouvons. Vous pouvez. Do you see how these tie back to the infinitive? Pouvoir, pouvons, pouvez. And guess what happens with il and elle? It goes back to this original stem, P-E-U, V-E-N-T. It's pronounced ils peuvent, elles peuvent, V-E-N-T. And so once again, if I circle the verbs that have the same stem, the P-E-U, I get the shape of a shoe. And nous and vous are the laces because they tie back to the infinitive. One more. How many of you want to guess how this one looks? Now I will say the je, tu, il, elle, on form It's a little different than what we just did. Devoir means 3 different things. It means to have to, like an obligation. It means should, like I really should do that. And it also means to owe, like to owe someone money. Now, I said that this first part's going to look a little different. It doesn't have a D-E-U like V and P. This one is je dois. Remember, the O-I is pronounced ois en français. So je dois means I have to, or I should, or I owe someone money. Devoir might look familiar to you because when we talk about homework, the word for homework en français is les devoirs, the things you should do or have to do, the work you owe your classes. Devoir, it makes sense. Well, if this one is je dois, what's the next one? Tu dois. D-O-I-S. What's this one going to be? Il doit. Yep, with a T. Elle doit. On doit. And a very astute student of mine pointed this out, which I absolutely love because I never thought of this before. Je dois, tu dois, il doit. Look at this word closely. In English, do it. You have to do it. Devoir means things you have to do or should do. Just do it. Just do it. But make sure you pronounce it doit. Hopefully that helps you remember this conjugation and the meaning of the verb. I love it. Okay, let's go over to the plural side. Nous. Now, what's going to happen with nous? If we base this off of our 2 previous verbs, remember these are all shoe verbs. So nous and vous are going to tie back to the infinitive. What do you think this verb should start with? Did you guess D-E-V? Look at that. D-E-V, D-E-V. You are correct. And the ending? O-N-S. Nous devons. Same thing with vous. Vous devez. And then il and elle, they're going to look just like these friends over here. Ils doivent, E-N-T, et elles doivent, E-N-T. Here is our beautiful shoe verb, circling the verbs that have the same stem. Nous and vous tie back to the infinitive. Just do it. Super bien. Class, there's one more part of this chapter, and that is learning about the partitive article. The partitive article is when you talk about some, a part of something, rather than the whole thing. So if we look over here at our pictures, and this is also found in your textbook on pages 168 and 170, we have an entire chicken. That's un poulet, a chicken. But if you only want some chicken, you say du poulet. Un jambon is an entire ham. Some ham is du jambon. So we can see that the word du means some. Un melon, an entire melon, the whole fruit, versus du melon, some melon, du melon. But now, look at these last 2. Une salade is like the whole head of lettuce or the whole bag of salad, which you're probably not going to eat the whole thing. So you would ask for some salad, which is de la salade. Une tarte is the whole pie, and I like pie, but I'm only going to have some. De la tarte. So we can see that de la means some. Wait a minute, I thought du meant some. What's the difference? I bet you know. Du is masculine, and de la is feminine. So if the item you're talking about, in this case food, if it's a masculine food item like le poulet, le jambon, le melon, to ask for some, you're going to say je voudrais du poulet. Je prends du jambon. Je mange du melon. Oui, some. But if it's a feminine food item like salade or la tarte, je voudrais de la salade. Je mangeais de la tarte. In the negative, this du and de la changes to one thing, and it doesn't matter if you're talking about masculine or feminine. If you don't want any, my words got cut off a little bit here, but je ne veux pas de poulet. Il ne prend pas de tarte. Pas de tarte. So that's like in English saying I don't want any. Instead of using some, du or de la, when it's negative, you say pas de. Et voilà. C'est bien passé? Vous comprenez? That is our lesson for today. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in class. Au revoir. À bientôt.